So, Jordan, I heard you wanted to talk about water.
This has been one of those things that has caused some disputes in the comments and discussions ever since episode 1, when I brought up Dr. Emoto.
Mr. Masaru Emoto has a so-called PhD from the Open International University for Alternative Medicine in India, which is not recognized as an accredited university according to the Indian University Grants Commission. It's a diploma mill, his degree is fake. The university is also listed by quackwatch.org as a questionable organization.
Who spent his life researching water and demonstrated that by projecting love onto water and freezing the water, it would cause the water to freeze in beautiful patterns.
Oh yeah, this again. Emoto doesn't use proper scientific methodology. Basically, his experiments are prone to confirmation bias, and he can't reproduce the results of the experiments under controlled conditions. James Randi has been in touch with him and told him that all he has to do to win $1 million for demonstrating anything supernatural is pass a double-blind test. Emoto has not responded to this challenge. As far as I'm concerned, that proves he's a fraud. Any honest scientist would want to put his idea to the test. And that's even without the promise of $1 million if the test is successful. That's how science works. That's how you convince people in science. You present the evidence you're asked for. You put your ideas to the test, running the risk of falsifying them. You show the skeptics that you're right. You don't just accuse them of being closed-minded or conspiring to keep your discovery from becoming common knowledge. This is how science works. You have to be willing to demonstrate that you're right. And science, as I've said before, doesn't make exceptions. No, not even for dishonest people.
Now, the common argument from the skeptical perspective is that there was a triple-blind study on Emoto's research, and several times they didn't see nearly the same results that Emoto did.
He was part of the triple-blind study.
Does this mean Emoto is a lying, crazy Japanese guy? Not necessarily. He seems like a pretty level-headed guy.
Irrelevant. I don't care what anyone's impression of Emoto as a person might be. His claims stand or fall on their own merits. Also, do you think scam artists wear scam artist signs around their necks? They wouldn't be very good scam artists in that case. A successful liar always seems trustworthy. That's why he's successful.
Could it mean that the people who did the triple-blind studies didn't understand what Emoto understood about water?
Emoto was part of the triple-blind study, and besides, it shouldn't matter.
Let's objectively look at water for a second. What do we really know about it scientifically?
Yes, let's.
Well, we know that it's the most common substance on Earth.
No. Water makes up about 0.02% of the Earth's mass. By contrast, 32% is iron, 30% is oxygen, most of which is found in various forms of silica. The reason why so many people think that water is the most common substance on Earth is that it covers most of the planet's surface, and that happens to be where we live, but that's it. The Earth is like a wet rock. It's covered in water, sure, but it consists almost entirely of, rock.
We also know that every living species of life on Earth comes from water.
Yes, in the sense that all life shares a common ancestor, and that ancestor originated in water. Yes.
And needs water to grow.
Well, not growing specifically. In order to grow, you need to survive, and all organisms we know of need water to survive, so sure.
This includes crystals too, by the way.
No, crystals don't need water to grow. Crystals need a liquid to deposit material. It doesn't have to be water specifically. And also, crystals are not alive. I've already been over that.
We know that the human body is roughly 75 to 90% water.
Yep.
It's prevalent in all life.
True.
Without water, life could not exist on this planet.
Correct, at least not life as we know it.
Water is the only element in existence that can exist in 3 states: solid, liquid, and gas.
Oh! Damn, you were on a roll there, Jordan. And then you go and flunk elementary school science. Water is the only substance that we encounter in all three states in everyday life, but all materials can exist in all those states given the right temperature and pressure conditions. Also, water is not an element. It's a compound consisting of the elements of hydrogen and oxygen.
What else do we know about water? Well, it's the only element that expands when it freezes.
Well, unless you count silicon, bismuth, antimony, gallium, and right, water's not an element.
Which science today cannot explain.
Yes it can. Jordan, before you assert something like that, you may want to at least Google it. Water molecules are dipoles, which means that when you remove enough thermal energy from them, they will spontaneously organize themselves into a lattice structure due to the attraction between one molecule's positive pole and another molecule's negative pole. This lattice structure takes up more space than the random mess the molecules are in when they have more thermal energy. As a result, water expands when it freezes.
Why does water have the highest surface tension of all liquids?
Water has strong surface tension, yes. This is also a result of the polarity of water molecules, which creates relatively strong forces between the molecules. With that said, water does not have the strongest surface tension of all liquids. At normal room temperature, mercury has a much higher surface tension than water, just to name one example.
Why is it that it's the most powerful solvent on Earth?
I don't know that it is, but, well, it is a good solvent. This again has to do with the polarity of the water molecule. Since water is polar, it will dissolve other polar or ionic compounds, including acids, alcohols, and salts. It won't dissolve non-polar compounds like fats or oils.
And why is water able to rise against gravity through the trunks of giant trees against thousands of atmospheres of pressure?
Because it adheres to a lot of surfaces and has strong surface tension.
The truth is that there are a lot of unanswered questions about water and what it is that we have absolutely no logical conclusive answers to.
Such as? I mean, you haven't given a single example so far. I think what you mean is there are lots of questions that you can't be bothered looking up the answer to. But you know what? I think it goes beyond laziness. I think you want science to be unable to answer questions. To a scientifically minded person, a mystery is appealing because it begs to be solved. I think that to you, a mystery is appealing because it's a gap where you can cram in the supernatural. Am I right? It seems to me like you guys, not just Jordan, but those who follow him as well, celebrate when the mystery is discovered. I celebrate when it's solved. You celebrate ignorance. I celebrate knowledge. You see this as arrogance. I see it as the exact opposite. I go where the evidence leads me. You won't even bother looking for it. The view that your beliefs, your completely unfounded beliefs, are as good or even superior to beliefs supported by evidence, that's arrogance.
This is an absolutely beautiful thing, because admitting that we know nothing allows us to open up to learn new things about what it is that we want to know. In this situation, water.
If indeed we did know nothing, I would agree with you, Jordan, but in this case, we know a lot. Look, if you're gonna do this and this, you should also do this. Or expect a lot of people to do this.
The following clips are from a secret documentary I found about water floating around on the depths of YouTube.
If it's on YouTube, it's not much of a secret.
It keeps being taken down. I wonder why.
Yeah, why would copyrighted material be taken down? Could it have something to do with copyright?
Now that we've looked at the light side of things, it's time to take a look at the darkness. This is how water flows naturally in nature. However, water makes a different trip when it goes into our homes. It goes like this. Lots and lots and lots of right angle turns and hard edges. This doesn't flow. It's not healthy.
Why not? And how is this relevant?
On an even greater scale, it is known that most cities work on a closed-loop system. This means that the water we use is continually recycled over and over. The water passes through aggressive chemical purification and powerful filters.
If you think it's bad to purify water, please enter the nearest sewer and have a drink.
Then, the water returns to our homes, still remembering the chemicals and violence it was subjected to.
I'm not at all surprised you think water has emotions and memories, but seriously, the only way to respond to this is In order to experience emotions, one must first have the ability to take in and process sensory information. This requires, at the very least, a nervous system and sensory organs, or something that could serve a similar function. If water, despite lacking these, can experience emotions, then what about other things that lack nervous systems? Jordan, what about your clothes? Do they have emotions? When you sit down, are you hurting the fabric in your pants? What about when you sweat? Oh man, what about when you fart? Yeah, I know I made a fart joke, but I'm actually being serious here. If you think inanimate objects experience emotions, then why do you wear clothes? That's disgusting. And, oh man, why do you eat? Why do you breathe? Are you considering the emotions of the poor molecules that you suck into your lungs? Probably against their will? What? Am I being silly? Well then, Your Honor, I rest my case. See ya.